with Sagicor Payment Gateway. Integrate in as little as 30 minutes. Conditions apply. The time by Sagicor Bank is...
It is 7 o'clock and it's time for the Morning Watch.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM, the number one gospel station in Jamaica. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org, and if you are overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 7128328001, and if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541, or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also check us out on Love 101 FM Facebook Live and YouTube Live. In the main watch today, are we on the verge of World War III? In the second watch, entrepreneurial inspirations. In our social media question, we ask, what would you do if World War III was declared today? Share your responses in our share your responses on our Facebook or YouTube Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes to 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your comments later on the program, but first is I quote.
This morning's I quote is an integrity quote. We must adjust to changing times and still hold to unchanging principles. That one there from Jimmy Carter.
Sounds almost like a Bible quote.
Sounds almost like a Bible quote. It's really good. Very
DJ,
true.
how you doing, DJ? You're not giving us any class today with Jamaican language to English?
No, not today. Some days you get a little time off. Good morning, Mr. Marshall.
Good morning, Miss Parchment. I hope you're doing well.
I'm well, thank you.
The main watch. We'll be back after this break.
The 2022 Sterling Gospel Music Awards is sponsored by the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sports, Unique Production, Our Hotel, Yummy, Jane Group, Interactive Payroll Solutions, KFC, Sagicor, One Group, Jamrock Water, True Shake, True Juice, Prime Awards, DF Entertainment, Iosif Image Solutions, Exquisite Caterers, FHL, Mumsels, and Love 101 FM. It's the 2022 Sterling Gospel Music Awards, Saturday, October 8th, The Ambassadors at 6 p.m. Don't miss it.
Tiles. It can go everywhere, from your walls to your floors, from inside to outside. Your style, your choice. At Active Home Center, we have the widest selection of tiles, from classic to unique. Shop our new arrival of tiles for your bathrooms, living rooms, kitchen, and more. Let us help you transform your space. Visit us in Kingston at 84 Constant Spring Road or our newly opened location in Freeport, Montego Bay. Active Home Center. More savings, more choices.
I've got love in my heart and I'm feeling blessed.
Are you ready for another exciting show inside Alive at 1 to 5 this Throwback Thursday, October 6th? Well, join me, your host, Sarah, and the Chirpy One for another time to recollect and reconnect. Stick around for Prayer Blast at 2 o'clock as we ring in the prayer bells of heaven. 2:15 inside Pieces of the Past. In our Rewind feature series, we take a look at storytelling. Then at 3 p.m., we bring you another episode of Proverbially Speaking. Sayings about waiting. All this and more will come alive 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. This Throwback Thursday, October 6th on the family station, Love 101.
Give him praise, give him praise.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. It's been 7 months since Russia's President Putin sent troops into the neighboring country of Ukraine. And today we are hearing rumors of a third world war, and it would appear to be that if there is in fact a third world war, it would include or involve nuclear weapons. At least so it is said. Russia is said to have the largest arsenal of nuclear weapons in the entire world. What's happening now? And are we already in World War III, or are we getting there? We have as our guests today two guests: Archbishop Kenneth Richards of the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Kingston, and Pastor Silburn Carr, pastor of Abundant Life Christian Church. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr.
Silvan.
Mark.
Now, getting right into it. 7 months later, gentlemen, what's happening? Shall I start with the Archbishop or with Pastor Carr? Archbishop, you want to make a go at it?
Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Silvan.
Morning, Archbishop.
Yes. Well, I think we're at a stalemate.
Archbishop, are we at a stalemate? Because we heard that Russia has annexed a few regions of what was considered to be Ukraine, albeit those regions voted to be part of this new union, if we can call it that. On the other hand, we do hear of challenges the Russians are having. What do you mean specifically by stalemate, Archbishop?
Well, I mean, with respect to the rumors that you refer to for World War III,
yes,
I would like to think that would be remote. At the same time, Putin is unpredictable. But at the same time, I'm sure that he is aware that if he ventures into that, he will have more than he can handle at hand, the European Union and the commitment of the United States. So I think that that can provide some amount of deterrence with respect to wanting to escalate, even though he has verbalized that, especially because of the supply of weaponry that the United States is providing, that indeed that is virtually their engagement in war. However, even though he has annexed, and the reports have been illegally, and that the vote was an illegal vote that was staged, there are reports that Ukraine is making advances with respect to restoring some of the areas back to Ukraine that is supposed to be annexed. And we know, and the reports are that it seems that the Russian army is struggling. Putin made declared a draft, and we saw in media that young men were fleeing because they didn't want to be included in the draft, and so it may be questioned, the morale of the arm that is trying to put together. It has suffered great loss already, and the fact that there's a lot of reticence with respect to those who want to be included in the draft right now. So I think there's a stalemate. We go back to the rationale why Putin engaged in this declared war. And sometimes I think maybe the person might overlook his concern, whether it is valid or not, that he wanted to safeguard his the borders of Russia. And then other person may also implicate that he wanted to reclaim what was lost when the breakup of the Soviet Union. And so that's the complexity of the situation. But at the same time, we recognize that Ukraine is responsible for choosing its own destiny, which must be respected, and Mr. Putin must respect that. And even as the Ukraine also should respect and not give cause for alarm by Putin with respect to what he perceived as the possible threat to his nation as Ukraine as a gateway for, because he didn't want them to join the European Union, that it would be a threat for his nation. So it's very complex, but at the same time, I don't think anyone would want to venture into a war now because of the nuclear threat and the devastation that would and follow that would come from that.
Pastor Silburn Carr, pastor of Abundant Life Christian Church, are we in World War III, sir? And if not, what ingredients would make it World War III? Entirely your opinion. Do you think we're in World War III, sir?
Well, thank you for having us. I want to start by looking in the scriptures. In Matthew 24, Jesus told us of the things that will happen during the end times. And one of the things he spoke about was wars and rumors of war. So we are in a war now, and there are possible rumors of other wars as well. But I want to say that good always triumphs over evil, right? And if you notice that the advances that Russia made, it has been driven back in a big way because of the resilience of the people. And also, I believe that, remember, Zelensky is a Jew. So I believe that the Ukrainian people may have a supernatural wind behind them driving it. As to say what it is the third world war, it is possible it could venture there because Putin seemed to be a deranged man, not real rational, want the land that he lost when the Soviet Union broke up. But I think that if he ventures down a particular road, the war would be very short because, I mean, all of the nations have nuclear weapons. So if he fires one, a part of Russia will be devastated, and then the war would come to an end because nobody wants to die as much as him have a lot of saber rattling. Him don't want to die. So you see, sometimes these bluffs is there to put fear upon the nations. But I really don't think it will happen. But it could happen because of the nature of man. The eyes of the hell and destruction is never food, so the eyes of man is never satisfied. Proverbs 27:20 said that. And I think Putin want back land, and the Bible said the earth is the Lord. The land don't belong to no man, or God's land. So if he ventures down the road of World War III, which we could, it would last long. And I hope that if he tries to venture, he'll have people would dissuade him from it. Or he may lose power at home. Or he's a sick man. The Lord can allow him to come out of this life. That's also possibilities. Because the man is causing a lot of pain and destruction, and people, I believe that innocent people that was invaded, if somebody invaded Russia, I wouldn't take it kindly. So the answer is both. I don't think so, but it's possible that it could venture that way.
So you don't think that Vladimir Putin would use nuclear weapons?
He's not a stable man, so it's possible. He could do it. Because a desperate man, them say he's cornered in. A desperate man.
Not a stable man, you mean not a stable man in what way?
He's thinking, rational thinking. All he's thinking about is to get back the land at the expense of children and women and men. Innocent people were killed. They're finding mass graves everywhere they go. Every city that they retake now, them find a lot of mass graves, a lot of war crimes were committed. So in terms of the value of human lives, I don't think that he values it much. Don't value the lives of his Russian soldiers. I mean, them sign up for fight to the death. But what about if the innocent civilians? At one time they were bombing even near to the nuclear plant. So he seemed to be careless and not.
Hold that thought, Pastor Carr, because we are already upon a break. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back in the morning watch.
Get better coverage for yourself and your family as low as $800 a month. The time by Jane Life Vest from Jane Life Insurance is
$7.15.
National bill up the nation. Nice baked goods for everybody. Nothing no sweet me like bun and cheese. National make your bill with the family. We love cheesy folks and mommy prefer crackers and tea. And we support all one chicken man with the hard bread, you know, giant brand. Serving the people of Jamaica with wholesome food to help you stay strong. Yeah. Grab your national bag, original, truly Jamaican. Something for all occasion. Good for your breakfast, lunch or snack. Grab your national bag, original, truly Jamaican. Best quality, 70 years strong. National bill of the nation. National Baking Company, baked with pride since 52.
Get your tickets now for the 2022 Sterling Gospel Music Awards, Saturday, October 8th at the Ambassadors, 63 Hagley Park Road in Kingston. Tickets available online at www.spiropen.com/Sterling2022. Adults $2,800, children 12 and under $1,200. Lap infants are free. Dress code a royal affair. 6 p.m. red carpet. Showtime 7 p.m. It's the 2022 Sterling Gospel Music Awards live in person. Don't miss it.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the main watch, the first watch. We're speaking to Pastor Silburn Carr, pastor of Abundant Life Christian Church, and Archbishop Kenneth Richards, Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Kingston. We popularly refer to an archbishop in the capacity of Kenneth Richards as the Archbishop of Kingston. And the topic in this main watch is, are we on the verge of World War III? Pastor Carr, before the break, you were making a very interesting point in relation to Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the effect on the people, the individual lives of people on the ground in the respective countries, certainly at least in his own country, I think was the tone of your response. Please continue the point you're making, Pastor Carr.
Yeah, I was saying, Mr. Marshall, that Putin seems to be cornered, and military is cornered because you have to be retreating, and I think that his ego is at stake. And when a man like him, who seemed to be a narcissist, when their egos are at stake, they will do desperate things to recover or retain their egos. So right now he's a very dangerous person, unpredictable. And any, as we would say in the Jamaican parlance, any number can play. It's possible that he could do something irrational. Very possible.
Interesting. Now, any views on whether, well, let me indicate a background, because in listening to both of you, including yourself, Pastor Carr, you made mention was made of Russians not wanting to be drafted to fight for their country, and some of them are running away. It is known, by the way, that usually when there is any major war, persons will try to dodge a draft. Specifically now, any views on whether Jamaicans could possibly be called upon, let me take it no higher than that, could possibly be called upon to fight along with Britain and other Western allies against Russia? The current Prime Minister of Britain, Liz Truss, has made it very clear in terms of her not being happy with Russia at this time. Any views on whether Jamaicans could be called upon in a World War III to fight alongside with Britain and other Western allies? So young men, for example, young women, for example, could be called upon to fight in a World War III. Archbishop Kenneth Richards, any views, sir?
Well, that's a lot of speculation. However, like to take the viewpoint, I mean, in terms of those soldiers that are fleeing and some nations that are
Well,
agreeing
you know,
to.
Archbishop, the very question we're posing this morning is speculative. Are we in World War III?
Right,
But the
yes.
facts are that we are seeing a lot of signs. And if
Uh,
we do get into a World War III, the prospect, in my view, can certainly arise. And I say can, not must. Go ahead, Archbishop.
yeah, but I don't think it will arise because, as Pastor Silvan rightly says, if it ventures into a new war, a world war, nuclear weapons come into play, it will be very short-lived. And so it wouldn't be that kind of
It wouldn't
extensive.
be the old-fashioned kind of war where you have
Correct.
people out there fighting on the
Infantry.
ground and shooting at each other.
Correct.
That's what you're saying.
Right, yes. I mean, so there will no need to be caught up on reserves to kind of supplement
If I can
infantry.
call it old-fashioned.
Right, yes. However, it was interesting to note that as people are fleeing and flying to nations that will accommodate them, I think it's the Lithuanian government who says that they'll not receive any of the refugees, that they should stay in Russia and fight Russia, and fight Putin, rather than run away. And that's a consideration. You know, sometimes you wonder, people speculate, why is it that there's no real pushback? We know that he has a tight rein in this country, and so it can be repressive with respect to any attempts at a coup, etc. But it's amazing that he's still able to continue the way he is going, and that we hear little from the resistance. I mean, we know that the few demonstrations that we hear of, it has been shut down, and the military or the security forces are calling to kind of squash it. But he seems to have a really tight rein with respect to control, self-preservation, and of his ideas. I was speaking recently to someone in the diplomatic service who mentioned that what is the thought again? The thought escaped me.
Well, whilst you recall that, Archbishop, something I found interesting, which I did not touch on at the time when it was said, but this is for Pastor Carr, interestingly. Pastor Carr, when you were speaking, you made mention of something. I don't know if you were intending to be, I don't know, was it somewhat prophetic or providential in your comment about the head of Ukraine, Mr. Zelensky himself. Now, you said that he is a Jew or Jewish, and that somehow supernatural winds or words to that effect were behind him. What do you mean by that?
You know that there's a covenant with Israel, the people of God, and God will defend his people wherever they need help. And there are some Jews, I believe, in Ukraine as well, so they may be praying, obviously, to Jehovah God, their God. And God is a God of covenant, so God will honor his covenant. And if you remember when Solomon was building the temple, he prayed a prayer that wherever his people are and they turn their face towards Jerusalem and pray, God will help. And that has happened over the years. When Israel is in problems, sometimes supernaturally, God appears and they win some. And by the 6-day battle in 1967, so I believe that the possibility exists. You
mean between Israel and Egypt?
Yes, it ended supernaturally. I mean, it was like 100 million against 2 million. And the armies were so many, and Israel won against odds. Similarly, if you look at the Ukraine situation, it seems like it is not normal how they are progressing. And Russian armies are really fleeing. This is a much more
stick a pin. I'm not intending at all in any way, shape, or form or fashion to be difficult, but if a country has a leader who is Jewish, it makes a massive difference. I'm just asking.
Yes, I believe so.
I'll leave that one for another time. This is not
based on the covenant keeping God.
I will leave that part. I'll leave that aspect or that discussion for another program.
Yes, but that is my view, you know. That is my view.
Understood, sir. I will have no further comments on that. Now, how will or should the world respond to what is taking place now between Russia and Ukraine and the possibility of a World War III? What do you think, Archbishop? How do you think the world should respond to what's happening now?
Well, I mean, one of the response support that's been given is providing weaponry and ammunition to assist Zelensky, and then there are, of course, all the economic sanctions that have been applied to kind of suppress growth and activity and connection with the outer world with respect to importation, exportation, although Putin holds a stranglehold with respect to the desire for oil. And
Archbishop, I'm going to ask you to pause one moment. I wasn't going to go down this rabbit hole, but since you mentioned oil, any views on the destruction or damage, maybe, well, however you choose to frame it, of the Nord Stream pipeline?
It's I don't know if it's conspiracy theory, but I saw one media.
Notice how I very carefully frame that question.
Right. Yes. Indicating
I don't want any misinformation on the program, but I'm just asking for your comments, sir.
Okay, so let's just leave it at that then.
Okay, I see. All right.
Conspiracy theory.
Okay. I just thought I'd raise it because you mentioned energy or oil. Go ahead, Archbishop.
Yes. So I mean, I think the sanctions and support for the Zelensky and his army are ways that people are progressing now, and I think that is what is reasonable in this time. The thought that I'd want to share previously with respect to what is happening in Russia is the way in which the effectiveness of Putin's PR, that some people truly in Russia truly think his war is justified, even though there's a large outcry from other persons, especially the youth. But I think his PR, and so...
Oh, you mean public relations?
Public relations, yes.
I see.
Because one young man who is in the war and he's speaking to his family, he says that it's unbelievable that his father thinks that what Putin is doing is justified, and even as he tried to inform him of the injustice and the illegality of what is going on. So he has a very strong backing and PR, public relations program that is quite effective.
Interesting. And as we wrap today, I'm going to give you the last word, Pastor Carr. Where is the Christian church in all of this, in your opinion? And what do you think should be done if World War III were to be declared today? Pastor Carr?
In terms of economics, for us, I believe that we have to eat what will grow more food, because food will be short. We import so much, and the shipping lines will be affected. Spiritually now, church have to just pray more. Pray for peace, pray for sanity, pray for good sense to prevail, pray for God to intervene. And he usually does when his people call upon him.
Very interesting. He intervenes in the affairs of men when we call upon him. Yes, he indeed does. I had said the last word for Pastor Carr, but Archbishop Richards, in a second or two, any final words?
Yeah, I mean, prayer is important, but I think that the prayer that we want in terms of what is really at work, the injustice that springs from the heart of man, so that humankind turn against humankind, as we pray that for transformation in that reality in between Russia and Ukraine, we must make sure that in our own hearts that we are seeking to restorative justice in terms of our human relationship within our family, within our community, that we do not hold on to the vengeance and vindictiveness that sometimes that is really playing out in that dynamic in Russia and Ukraine.
Excellent way on which to end.
So we need to look at our
not to hold on to the vindictiveness, and the vengeance. Excellent way in which to end. I think we're totally out of time. Gentlemen, Pastor Carr and Archbishop Richards, thank you for being with us in this main watch. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Thank you as well.
Talk to Jane Bank today to find out about achieving your own sweet home in 30 days. The time by Jane Bank Mortgage is
7:30.
Shake and go with true shake. Shake and go. Grab a true shake and go. When me have to put in the work, but I'm moving slow. Grab a true shake and go. School time and not joke time. Office study hard, brain full time. Grab a true shake and go. When we up in the gym, we have to stay healthy and fit. Grab a true shake and go. Shake and go with true shake. Packed with 9 grams of protein, 24 key vitamins and minerals to keep you going. Grab a true shake and go.
Sometimes all we need is a listening ear. The listening ear, the counseling, the logical reasoning, and spiritual guidance are what appeal to us. That's why I'm here. I'm Dr. Joan Pinkney, the counselor, your counselor on Love 101 FM, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 to 11 p.m. You know you can call on me. I will listen and more. So let's talk about what's bothering you. Anything. Tune in, listen, call in, text or voice message. I'm Dr. Joan Pinkney, counseling psychologist, ready with a listening ear. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 to 11 p.m. Right here on the family station, Love 101 FM.
Well, if you want buy appliances for your home with the quality high and the price low, get it on a Bashco. Get it on a Bashco. Bashco. Be everything what you need. Bash quality service guaranteed and a Bashco. Bashco. Store that gives you more. Yeah, Bashco. Get furniture for your house, bed linen, everything for your kitchen, rugs, mugs, and more at Bashco. The store that gives you more. Bashco.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look now at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. And we have here, for instance, in the Jamaica Observer, Joint Select Committee to review new Bail Act. Well, right now it's a bill. And this story by Alicia Smith of the Jamaica Observer. We have here in the Gleaner 5 teens charged with fiery death of homeless man. This one of great concern. Great concern. We also have, this time in Loop News, Prime Minister warns gangsters of plan to smash illegal housing at Bernard Lodge. This in Loop Jamaica News. Those and many other stories in our various news sources. Coming up next, we'll read some feedback from our Facebook and WhatsApp question, which is, what would you do if World War III was declared today? If you haven't done so yet, leave a comment on our Facebook or YouTube, Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes to 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
Crime Stop Jamaica 311 unsolved. We need your help to solve the murder of 73-year-old Patrick Lawrence, a businessman and motel operator of 12 Top Road, St. Anne's Bay. A customer tried to rent a room at 10 p.m. on Saturday, 14th of May 2022, but couldn't find Mr. Lawrence. The police were summoned on Sunday morning, and Mr. Lawrence's body was discovered close to a staircase with wounds to his head. Crime Stop and concerned citizens are offering a total reward of $750,000 for information leading to an arrest and charge. Call Crime Stop Jamaica 311. Solving crime pays.
Planning to sit the January CXC CSEC exams privately? Register with Overseas Examinations Commission before the registration deadline, October 14, 2022. Visit our Kingston office or Montego Bay office to complete your application form or send an email to help@overseasexams.org.jm. Follow our social media pages at Overseas Exams for more details. Remember, if you plan to sit the January CXC CSEC exams privately, the registration deadline is October 14, 2022.
In need of a loan? AIM Financial is the place to go. We have loans from $20,000 to $3.3 million. Get a loan to pay school or college tuition, medical expenses, bills, fix up your house, buy furniture and appliances, repair or buy a car. And when you're done, take a vacation loan. AIM has a loan for any purpose. Call AIM today. You won't find a better deal elsewhere. Guaranteed.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's join Deidre for a look at how our Facebook and WhatsApp friends answer today's question. What would you do if World War III was declared today, Deidre?
Okay, so Marva says Putin can't do anything if God doesn't permit it. World War III has to be permitted by our Lord Jesus Christ, where he will secure his people. Faith says, trust God. Only divine intervention could help. Have a great day. Karine Marriott says, I would not be surprised. We are living in the end times. Keisha, the same thing I do all day, every day. Praise God and give thanks and pray. And then Janice Morgan says, I would just leave it in God's hand. He's got all his resources. Pray, let go, and let God.
Deidre?
Yes.
I won't ask you what you would do if World War III was declared today. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I don't want to
boy.
find out what I would do.
I heard some people saying pray, pray, pray. I joined
Right.
that club. Pray,
Yes.
pray till you can't stop pray.
Agreed.
Let us turn to something more positive, something more inspirational. Let's just make a complete and total change of gear. The narrative a lot of the time is that Jamaican men are lazy and good for nothing. However, very often that belief can be dispelled, and we have two very good examples of this this morning. Two examples of the entrepreneurial kind to inspire us all. We have online Onari Cowans, owner, Kingston Woodworks. Onari Cowans, owner, Kingston Woodworks. We also have Teron Dewar. Mr. Teron Dewar is the owner of Campus Cuts. Teron Dewar and Onari Cowans. Good day to you, gentlemen. Mr. Cowan and Dewar. Cowans and Dewar. Are they online at this time?
Mr. Cowans is online.
Mr. Cowans.
Yes, speaking.
Mr. Cowans, good morning, sir. While we wait on your other inspirer or the other inspirer to come on the phone, Mr. Dewar. Good morning again, Mr. Cowans. Now, tell us in a nutshell your story. I mean, we know there's probably a lot to the story, but tell us in a brief moment, briefly, where you started, when did you start the journey to where you are now, and when did you get to where you now are?
So in 2020 is where I really started making my first item. I was displeased with the service of the carpenter. So I was telling my friend about the situation and say, why don't make it yourself? And I started making stuff for myself, cutting boards and such. And then another friend saw me and asked me to make another item for them. She liked it, I liked it, and because I couldn't find a job, I decided to invest more in this and start making products.
So Kingston Woodworks is a carpentry business.
It's a woodworking business, so we don't do
Woodworking
carpentry,
business.
we do products made of wood.
I see. So what are some of the things that your business makes?
So shelves, signs, cutting boards, do some custom games as well, wooden games.
Understood. And any challenges that you had along the way to getting to where you are now? You said your story started in 2020. Well, your life did start before 2020, but you're starting at 2020. Any challenges that you had on the way, whether from 2020 or from even before that, before you even thought of getting to where you are now?
Well, it was difficult finding a space to work in. I usually work outside in the sun or rain, and that was one of the most difficult parts of the journey. Also gaining trust from customers and also gaining customers.
Gaining trust from customers as well as just gaining customers.
Yeah, gaining customers as well.
I see. And did you do any formal entrepreneurial training, or this is something you had to just sort of learn on your own as you went along?
Yeah, the only training is just trial and error and YouTube.
Trial and error and what?
YouTube.
I see. Interesting.
Nothing official.
So you learned a lot of things by watching videos.
Yes.
I see. Interesting. Let us see if we have Mr. Duo online. Mr. Duo, are you now with us?
Yeah, man, I'm here. Morning time.
Excellent. We just heard from Onari Collins. He's the owner of Kingston Woodworks in terms of, very briefly, his entrepreneurial journey. Very briefly, what is your entrepreneurial journey? What does Campus Cuts do? When did you get to the stage where you have a Campus Cuts? Any challenges along the way?
Well, Campus Cuts Barbershop and Salon, we deliver grooming services to the people who live and work in the university communities of the UTEC and UE campuses in Kingston. That is what we do.
You mean University of the West Indies and University of Technology?
Yes. So we have 5 locations across both campuses. And we serve not only the students and staff, but residents in that university town. That is what we do currently. We started formally in 2014, the 5th of September 2014, is when we opened our first location in Taylor Hall on the UE campus. And we just continue to grow since then.
I see. So your locations are, generally speaking, centered around the halls of residence, or the halls of residence as well as other parts of the respective campuses?
Yes. Halls of residence as well as other parts of the campus. So we got our start at Taylor Hall because I was a resident in Taylor Hall at the point in time where we started the business. And they had areas that I'd say they are a part of the hall, but not in the central living residence of Hall of Residence. So that is where we got our start. And we just continue to grow the business as the clients use our service, they recognize that it's good quality service. As you say, it's always an A-class cuts at Campus Cuts. And the demand grew, so we started to explore opportunities. So other spaces, getting spaces on these university campuses is difficult. So, obviously it takes investment of years of proposal writing, and I guess sometimes we're just at the right place at the right time. So, that is how we grew the business.
Any pushback you got along the way? Because you kind of hinted at challenges, but were there any pushbacks, or at least a major pushback as you were progressing, Mr.?
Yeah, man, there are always challenges. First and foremost, we were students when we started the business. Some of these spaces that we're using on the university campuses are, as I said, they're prime commercial real estate spaces. So in some instances, the holders of these spaces would prefer to assign these spaces to, seasoned entrepreneurs
Hold that thought,
where
Mr.
they
Dua. Hold that thought, Mr. Dua, because I see where we are already upon a break. But hold that point. Listeners, stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
He knows my name.
Here is your opportunity to connect with someone who will listen, pray, and give guidance. It's the telephone counseling ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church. Please call 876 220 6474. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Please talk to someone if you're finding it particularly challenging to cope during this period of global crisis. Someone is waiting for your call. Please reach out today. 876-220-6474. It's the telephone counseling ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church.
This is a reminder that somebody cares. Endorsed by Love 101.
He knows my name.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the second watch, and we're looking at something very inspirational and encouraging in this second watch. The topic is in relation to, or is, entrepreneurial inspirations. Entrepreneurial inspirations. Our guests in this second watch, we have Onari Cowans, owner, Kingston Woodworks, and Teron Duo, owner, Campus Cuts. Mr. Duo, before the break, you were outlining to us some of the challenges, chief among which, or let me not say chief, but one of the major ones you indicated was there were more experienced entrepreneurs who could have gotten rental spaces that you would have liked to have occupied, and it would have taken quite a bit of a challenge to convince the landlords to rent them to your business. Continue from there, Mr. Duo.
Yeah, man. That is actually true. So the spaces on the campuses are very limited and in high demand. And in a lot of instances, there are more seasoned entrepreneurs with more established businesses. People who have franchises of large corporate restaurant chains, these sort of things, who compete for these spaces. So in a lot of instances, we have to demonstrate fortitude and an above average demonstration of know-how in order to instill the confidence that we knew what we were going to do and this business wasn't going to fall. In at least two instances of two of our locations, what we did was take over failing entities. So there are entities that existed that were similar to the ones that we are about to operate. And those agreements have been terminated because these businesses have failed. And we have to go in and establish that we knew how to do this better. This is our track record. This is our plan. This is how we're going to do it. And that's how we grow the business.
Very interesting approach that you took, because I'm assuming you turned around those locations to show that a profitable business can be operated there. Having done that, Mr. Duo, what was the reaction?
I mean, what are we gonna get? Listen, you know, they say success has many fathers and failure have none. Typically, when things go right, you don't hear from anybody. It's only when it goes wrong, you hear from a lot of people. But I must use this opportunity to say that, I mean, the turnaround, the success spoke for itself in that instance. We didn't necessarily need validation from anybody to know that it worked, because this business was started by my brother, OJ Duar, and myself. And OJ was primarily operations. He's actually the barber. He's the heart and soul of the business. And some would say I'm the brains behind it. The one who put together the business plan, structure it, ensure that it runs, deal the finances. So this business was built to be run by two people with different but complementing skill sets. And that's how we did it.
Very interesting. Mr. Cowans, you just heard Mr. Duo. What keeps you going and continuing to do what you do, Mr. Cowans? What keeps you going?
So I like building stuff. So right now I'm in works of building my website. So I like just creating stuff and then put it out there for people to see and buy. So I'm always thinking of new ideas, new things to create, and that's what keeps me going.
Are you one of those persons who believes that if you like the business that you're doing, or if you like something, you should go into a business in relation to what you like, as opposed to doing something that you may not like, but you're doing it because you can make money from it? So you are the kind of person who believes that you should do a business that is sort of surrounding or in relation to your passion?
Definitely, it makes the job way easier. Staying up late, it seems it's easier to stay up late. It's easier to wake up doing something that you love because you don't view it as a job, but just more like a hobby that you get money from, and it makes everything easier. Dealing with customers, you understand them more because you like that. You like the thing as well, so you deal with customers better and you work harder.
Interesting. Do you share that view, Mr. Dio? Because I've heard some persons say, well, passion is one thing, but you don't have to be successful only at what you're passionate about. Mr. Dio, your thoughts?
I mean, I do share some of the sentiments expressed. Even except in this instance, I am not actually a barber or a hairstylist. So we have staff members working across the 5 campus barbershop and salon locations who are stylists. I am a businessman. I apply rudimental and rigorous rules and measurements in terms of how these things are supposed to be run. Because sometimes if you don't apply these principles and you operate purely off passion, then you don't recognize when things go bad until it goes bad. So the approach I take is I hire people who know what they're doing, measure the performance, and hold them accountable for it. So I do have the passion, but I tend to lead objectively.
Would you say that you have a passion for business? You have a passion for making money?
I have a passion for business. I have a passion for creating things, coming up with something, putting it together, creating things, putting people to work, and help them to achieve their goals and dreams through the vehicle that the business provides for that.
Very interesting. Now, you are both males, and we hear a lot of focus these days, no prejudice to them, but a lot of focus these days on women in business promote. There are a lot of programs and initiatives to protect, promote women involvement in many things now, but barely anything, if anything at all, for men. You are both men in business, doing what you're doing, loving it, enjoying it, gaining success. Do you have any comments in relation to encouraging and motivating males to do things that are wholesome, encouraging, rewarding? Because right now, if you look in the newspapers, do a Google search, any internet search in terms of young men, especially young black men, you're going to see a lot of negatives. Gentlemen, any comments, starting with you, Mr. Cowens?
Yes, I want to say that for the young youths or the males of this generation, doing skill work is what is gaining a lot of traction now. A lot of people are not kind of going in that direction because I don't know, they probably think there's not money in it. But one big motivation for youths nowadays is, I guess, is money, and skill work is where it's at right now.
Interesting. Mr. Duo?
Well, I don't have any advice in particularly for males. I have advice for entrepreneurs. I mean, because I think contextually we have to understand that women in business is topical now because typically it's not an arena in which they're celebrated. But the advice I have is for entrepreneurs overall. The advice is to be thoughtful in your approach. Measure results, set objectives, and understand, clearly define what success looks like, and you measure all your outputs and operations against that. And that is how you develop and run a successful business.
Do you think if more young men were doing something like you, Mr. Duo, where they were engaged in something they enjoy, which is business in your case, but doing something that they truly enjoy, that we would see better results, better families, less crime? Any views on that?
I do. But in some instances, the scope, what these young men get to see and experience is so limited that they haven't even figured out what it is that they've enjoyed as it. So what they tend to do is to gravitate to the closest thing, closest trade that they see somebody right around them do it. I mean, they need exposure to try new things, to experience different things, and then to see which one of these things align best with their interests, so that they can then go ahead and branch out in that area. I definitely agree with the fact that, doing something that you enjoy will help to propel your success in that area. So the approach will be to try and expand their scope and the things that they see and experience in order for them to really figure out what is for them and what is not for them.
Very interesting, very interesting. In terms of scaling the businesses for both of you, and I think you both know what I mean by scaling, how to expand it, grow it, take it to another level. Maybe you're now focused on a particular geographic location, or to take it beyond that location to other parts of the country, the world at large. Do you have any sorts of outlook going forward? Because we are said to be living in challenging economic times, but it's at the same time, there are always opportunities. Mr. Collins, you first, and then Mr. Duo.
Yeah, so I'm as I said earlier, I'm working on my website. So I'm going to start off with just studying in Jamaica, but by next year I want to go international with my products. Yeah.
Okay, got you, sir, got you, Mr. Duo. In terms of scaling your business,
right now the Campus Plus Barbershop and Salon is in expansion mode. So we're actively seeking employees. So anybody in radio and listening out there who is a hairdresser who specializes in braids or cream hair or sewing hair, look at the Campus Plus Instagram page. It's Campus Plus Grooming on Instagram. We're looking for good employees because we're trying to grow our business. We're trying to put people to work and help them achieve their goals. Right now we're concentrated in and on university campuses, so UWI and UTech. One of the things that the pandemic has taught us is that when instances like that happen, the activity on the campuses slow down significantly. So we're looking to expand in popular town areas where we can create branches of the Campus Coast and Salon business.
Are you mobile?
Looking for those places.
Are you mobile?
We also do mobile. Yes, we also do mobile services. So if you have somebody who is in the hospital who needs grooming services, or somebody who just don't want to leave their house from their household and they want to get the same quality grooming service, we have mobile services on offer. All you need to do is just book those things through our Instagram or our official WhatsApp, and then we'll set it up. We'll make the arrangement.
I see. Any plans for the future other than what you've both said? And in terms of any comments in relation to the general wider economy, what do you think needs to be done to propel further growth in the country? Mr. Collins and then Mr. Dill before we wrap.
So for the near future, I plan to produce more products, especially for the Christmas season, some modern Christmas ornaments and stuff. For the economy, you said, I think more innovation is needed. More technology is needed to be used to help with the growth. As I believe that the youth need more exposure to get their brain thinking of new ideas. And
understood. Understood. Just want to get a comment in from Mr. Duo before we wrap. Mr. Duo?
Yeah, man. For us, one of the things that we plan to do is expand into grooming products. So beard oil, edge control things. If the clients already entrust us with their grooming needs, they would also like to entrust.
So you would sell a physical product to them, not just do the service. I understand.
Exactly. So we're looking into expanding into that, and we'd also like to partner with institutions like Heart, who are training people to do hairdressing, nails, and tech. So be an outlet through which those students can get practical experience and maybe eventually matriculate into a job. That's
Wanted
kind of
another
where we're
comment from you,
pushing
but I
that.
think we're totally out of time. But I want to thank you, Mr. Collins and Mr. Dewar, for your comments and for sharing your time with us. We know that you're both very busy entrepreneurs, but you took the time to spend with us this morning, and we do appreciate it. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Visit the Love 101 FM YouTube channel, listeners, and of course our Facebook page for this and all other Love 101 FM programs. And listen to the Morning Watch by downloading our app. We are the number 4 station in the island and the number 1 gospel station in Jamaica. This has been the Morning Watch. Have a blessed weekend and join Reverend Dr. Dylan Toussaint next week as he'll continue to set the stage for discussion of topical and controversial issues. And of course, thanks to our producer Kathy Gale and to our guests. I am Stokeley Marshall, handing you back Love in the Morning. Love in the Morning with Deidre Parchment.
The NHF is here for you, helping Jamaican residents pay less